Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Well, I'm here on our one tractor that you don't see too often, the old Allis-Chalmers 200. In fact, about the most we ever use this tractor is actually on the grain auger in the fall. And so, but I thought I'd bring you along. In this video, I want to take and pop the head off this motor because it's getting hard starting. And so gotta take off the hood, these side panels. There's a bolt right there, I can feel it. So got my fan set up. I just looked at the thermometer. It's right at 95 degrees right now. Got my old hat stuck on. Works pretty handy for when you're out in that old sun. The old sun gets kind of warm. But yeah, like I said, I want to take and pop this head off. And the same guy that does all the other engine head work for me, as well as the manifold on the red tractor, I'm going to take this to him, and then he'll go all through it, check valves, make sure it's good and smooth. And then there's not him, but there's another guy that can check injectors, so I'll pop out the injectors as well. And so I'll bring y'all along for the ride. Got here's a couple of bolts. Gotta take this doghouse piece here off over the gauges, because that comes out the front of the cab right here. Now, for taking out all those bolts, I'm not going to bring you along for that. I mean, taking out a bolt's pretty simple. So right here's one. I was talking to Dad, and because I got looking, I can see this has been pulled before. And he said years ago the tractor was actually overhauled. But yeah, like I said, it's getting hard to starting. And I know whenever this guy has done other engine head work for me, well, like on that 7060, for example, it made it start a whole lot easier. And okay, there's the injectors. So you got to pull up the fuel lines. This fuel pump, I remember, it's probably been replaced probably within the past 20 years. That's got a different fuel pump, Stanidine, which it and Rusamaster look very similar. In fact, almost identical, pretty much. But all right, well, I'm gonna get to work here taking bolts out, and I'll bring you in off and on, and then once I'm actually ready to start taking things off. So yeah, if you hear a little bit of wind noise, that's the reason why I got these stands running. Also got the best pants you can want to work with too. Nice big holes. So that works out pretty good also. I'll jump. I showed you on the side. I'll jump clear up in here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, I got some bolts right here down the side, and this panel piece right here. We'll wait and see. I might actually be able to leave that on. I don't know. But I got two bolts right up top here. So I'll take out that doghouse, and then yeah, pop out the bolts, and the hood should be pretty much basic just to take off. Got to take off the exhaust pipe. So I'll be bringing you along here as I get going. All right, got the bolts out of this lower panel right here. Try and get him worked up and out of there. There we go, that opens it up. Set this off the side. Oh, also one more thing. I'll probably have, this will probably be part one of, who knows, 2, 3, 4 parts, depending on how I do it. And so, just to give you a heads up on that. Okay, that's got this panel here off. Now, I need to jump inside. I've already pulled these bolts here out that are the back part of the hood that goes through the cab. I need to get the bolts on the other side, and the right hand panel like this, take it off, and then we'll be ready to take this little doghouse here off the top. Just got the exhaust pipe here pulled off. That thing was stuck on there pretty good. However, I went and sprayed it all down. Just had to go right around the bottom here, right where the turbo elbow is. And it was stuck on there tight. Sprayed around. I use this Seafoam Deepcrete. That's been the best stuff I've ever found. Let it soak on there for a few minutes, and you can see it worked, well, at least halfway up, if not all the way up to the top of the turbo, where the turbo elbow was inside the pipe. And so, like I say, that's been the best stuff I've ever found. Okay, that's got that. Now I've got all the bolts off, or out of the hood, and gonna work now on trying to get the hood down off here. Okay, I had my dad help me, and we got the hood here taken off. Now I'm just getting the turbo here tube loosened up. This here's coming from the air filter, and so gotta take the two oil lines here off. Well, fortunately, those stud bolts look like they're stainless. Perfect. Generally, they're so rotted and corroded you can't do anything. So now I'll get to work taking these here off. That way I can take the turbo off, and then take the manifold and then the fuel lines down out of there, and just keep chipping away at it. So I'll keep bringing you along. Okay, that's got that thing back out of the way. In fact, I think I actually just leave that stuck up there like that, and it'll be out of the way of the head. We'll wait and see. Okay, next thing is probably work here on the turbo. Okay, now I gotta take the turbo, the oil return line off. And when he gets which it should actually come as a kit. So I'll get the new valve cover gasket, head gasket, this return oil line gasket. It should all come as a kit. Now, if this was one of our main tractors, I would probably take and give it a complete overhaul, but it's not. So about all it does is run a grain auger in the fall. So in fact, speaking of overhauls, this coming next winter in I guess it'll be 2026, I'm hoping to overhaul our other 4840. So I'll have the head on it all gone through, injectors, new pistons, sleeves, rod bearings. Hopefully I don't have to split the tractor. That makes the job about 10 times worse or bigger. Okay, that's got the line off. I'm surprised it had just a little bit of oil in it. You would have thought they would have all been drained out. And now we'll take off the feed line. Yep, wrench too big. I thought it was 3/4. I guess it's 11/16. Okay, now the top fitting. There we go. Okay, that line should just pop out there, just like that. Perfect. Okay, now I gotta undo these clamps. This here's the turbo push line going into the motor. And usually that rubber sticks on there pretty tight at times. Sometimes not too bad, but sometimes it's awful hard to get off. This is that connector tube between the turbo and the intake. Get that rolled off there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Little bit of oiliness on that.
That's down.
Maybe time for a new turbo.
I'm thinking so. I'm gonna take it over here. At least turn it out of your way, aren't you?
Well, you disconnect it right down over here.
Oh,
You just take the whole thing off.
This is gonna come off anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can see some oiliness in that line going into the intake. That's not supposed to be there. There's more oiliness down there in that turbo. It's time for a new turbo.
It should be just dry air going out that side.
Okay, now I'm going to take these lock nuts here off on the turbo. I thought. Let me set the camera down. I got to use both hands. Huh. That's a stainless stud. Well, you know what? If I can't get those off, I'll pull these. I'll just take the whole thing out the side of the head and take it up that guy. Let him fight with it. He's got the machines to do it. Okay, let me grab a hammer. Alright, got a plastic hammer here. Let's see what happens now. Hey, that did it. I prefer to separate it right here because it makes it easier to handle. Not near so bulky. Uh-oh. Now I can get my wrench out. There we go. Okay, I'm working on getting the last lock nut off, so I'm having taken tap the thing up. That way I can get that lock nut off back there. Okay, finally got that one off. Now we're ready to lift up off there. Ah, there we go. All right, let's get the turbo off. Well, guys, I'm gonna call this an end to part one. Part two will be taking off the manifold, injection pump, the fuel lines off the injectors, working up here on the valve cover, that kind of stuff, getting ready to pull the head. Taking off this tube here. Like I say, for some oiliness being in there, which is a big no-no, it's time for a new turbo. That's not supposed to have oiliness going through that. So All right, well, hey, I'm going to call this an end to part 1. We'll see you again for part 2.